Hi, this is Tim Weaver from CMVG, and I'm here with Dan Dawkins today. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Good, good. So we're going to talk about Watch Dogs. Probably we went to E3 expecting Ubisoft to blow us away, but maybe with Assassin's 3 and Splinter Cell Blacklist. But instead, they dished out this little bad boy. Tell us a bit about, you were there, Dan, about the reaction when this first came on the screen.
Well, I think that the thing that was astonishing is that Ubisoft managed to keep this secret.
Yeah, that is the biggest, most astonishing thing about it, because they are a leaky old company.
Yeah, and E3 is, famously become very leaky. There's very rarely anything you see that surprises you. So obviously, the very fact that this game existed was a surprise. Even more of a surprise is that, as we can see now, visually, it's a step above probably anything on the current existing consoles. Which is obviously a spark the debate of, is Watch Dogs the first next generation game?
Ubisoft were pretty quick in saying that this is going to be on Xbox 360 and PS3, but I think, given the level of fidelity here, we can assume that well, we know it's running on a PC the size of a room, but we also know that it will, well, we don't know, but I'm guessing that it will almost certainly be on next gen consoles if it releases at the end of next year in a sort of gun, Hitman, blood money kind of way.
Yeah, I think that seems pretty likely, and so I saw it demoed on a wacky and great PC, and they were pretty open about that. Premise of the game, this struck me as quite interesting, as in this reminds me of what Kojima tried to do with Metal Gear Solid 2, where the game is really about the sort of proliferation of information and what would happen if one central resource was to sort of use every single bit of data we leak out with our various personal devices, everything we sign up for. It's a bit like life.
Yeah,
we've got a password for everything, and I think hey, they're doing this in a really great way. And you see here the lead guy, Aiden Pearce, who's described as good with his wits and his fists.
And his fists, yeah.
So he's like a brainy, punchy hacker. But the way he gets into this club, and when we saw this demoed, is he uses his device to call a guy's mobile phone, and the guy gets distracted, or the guy loses signal on his phone. When he can't get signal, he moves outside to check it, to get a better signal somewhere else, and he just sneaks past him straight into the club. And
so as we understand it, any and you probably know a bit more about this, Dan, having seen it in action, it's any electronic device within his line of sight he can use to hack into. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically, I think any electronic device in the immediate world he can control.
Yeah. So give us an example of the type of things that he'll be able to do then.
Well, as we've seen it already, he can manipulate people's mobile devices and turn off the communication. He can turn off lights. He can manipulate CCTV cameras, that kind of thing. What he can also do is he can use information about people to his advantage. So in the demo we were shown, and I'm not sure it was obvious from this footage, is when he looks at people, he instantly knows their age, their job, he knows their income, any special details about them. When I was showing this demo, you could see that it was looking at someone, and it had this person is an event organizer, earns $78,000 a year. The next person was this, and he's HIV positive. And it was really, pervasive information.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be elements of the game where you'll be able to exploit your inside knowledge of someone.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that explicitly done.
No.
In a bit of the demo I'd seen.
And the facial, just the tech here is quite impressive. The facial animations are really nice, and so I don't know whether this really gives us a hint at how the game's structured. Do these guys, is it like GTA? Is there like missions you take on, or is I'm sort of difficult to get an idea of how the world.
Well, to be honest with you, I've only seen this same demo as you, so I'm not quite sure how in its entirety it's going to pan out. But it definitely has got a feel of, I don't know, I don't think getaway is the right word, or GTA. It's within those realms, but it seems to be more about interesting interactions than it does just shooting.
Yeah.
And you can see it here, actually, like I touched upon. You can see him here, he's scanning through each different person to get an idea of who they are. They say credit rating low, yeah, HIV positive. He's getting all these different things, and then he eventually tracks on who he needs. So again, it's a neat game device mechanic to isolate people out of the world rather than giving them a glowing radar to go, target is here.
Yeah.
You just do, you can just do it this way.
I wonder how you use that stuff against them though? I mean, like, say the guy, you know, you sort of zero in on the guy who's HIV positive. How do you use that information against him within the context of the game? Did they hint at that? Or?
No, I mean, this again wasn't really made clear. I
Right.
think the demo I saw was essentially this demo we're seeing right now, and I think it was played out over the scale of the show to quite a tight script.
Yeah.
So I didn't get much sense of how expansive it could be.
One thing you did get told about was this kind of tie-up with, not tie-up, but functionality it has with iOS, with iPad. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because they didn't really talk about that at the conference too much.
Yeah, this was great. We were showing this demo exactly as you see it here, and when it finished, he did say, "We've got one more surprise for you guys," and he whipped out an iPad. And now on the iPad screen was like effectively a version of the radar you can see in the bottom right of the screen, but it was a little bit more wireframe, a little bit more sleek and sexy, and it was like a complete 3D representation of the city, of it as it is being played out in real time. So what you could do is scroll about, and at any time you could click on a character and it would give you their bio and information about them, so you could track people's toings and throwings in the game world on your iOS pad. And I think as you play the game, you know, your iPad will be like your live information PDA of the world.
Yeah, but presumably it ties in also to this co-op that's kind of happening in the background here, because right at the end of the demo, and I'm not sure it's on this footage we've got here, but right at the end of the demo it becomes plainly obvious that there's another sort of guy involved in what's happening here and is kind of looking out for Aiden in some way.
Yeah, again, I think that's absolutely right, but we weren't shown that running in tandem with the game.
No.
We were just shown the iPad in isolation and said... And I think what was interesting, there was this feeling at the show, actually, of people not so much fighting iPad, but embracing it, or hijacking it, and this is something Microsoft did with their smart glass.
Well, I was going to say, it's sort of all that kind of thing just ties into the whole smart glass idea. I mean, whether Microsoft have kind of given Ubisoft sort of heads up about where they're headed, and Ubisoft have incorporated this into Watch Dogs afterwards, or whether they've always had this idea for using the iPad, I couldn't say for sure, but it's certainly, you're right, that was an overriding theme of the show.
And in terms of the game here, we see it's become like more trad action.
Yeah.
But visually, there are effects here that we've just not really seen as of to date on the channel. I feel like a lot of the defocusing effects and the rain and the blurring, it just feels a little step above what we've had.
Yeah.
And I think this is where, again, running on a high-end PC, I don't think this is that far away from what we could expect from a next-generation system.
No, I don't think it is. In fact, I think that this is a fair indication of probably what we're going to get, because, you know, we saw the Final Fantasy, or whatever Square call that, demo.
Yeah.
Is probably another step up from this, but then once you factor in all the other kind of equations that come with the game, like AI and all that sort of stuff, then I imagine it beds down to something approaching this kind of level of fidelity, I would think.
Yeah, you'd think so. I saw the Square Enix demo, their Luminous Final Fantasy Agnes Philosophy demo, which in truth looks even better than this, to the point where when I saw this I was mildly underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Which is an astonishing thing to say of a game that one day earlier blew my mind.
Yeah.
It shows how quickly you adjust to things looking incredible.
Yeah. But you're right, all the rain effects look amazing in this, so it probably is an indication of where to go.
Stop! We will shoot you! 961 Charlie, your squad put out an all call. We need backup ASAP.